How could a single event thrust the entire world into a conflict of unprecedented scale? On the first day of September in 1939, the world trembled as Germany launched a full-scale invasion of Poland. This aggressive move was not just a declaration of war against Poland, it was the spark that ignited the powder keg of tensions in Europe, leading to the outbreak of World War II. The invasion itself was swift and brutal. German forces employing a strategy known as blitzkrieg or lightning war overwhelmed Polish defenses. Within weeks, Poland was carved up under the secret terms of the Nazi-Soviet pact, with Germany and the Soviet Union splitting the nation between them. But why did this invasion pull so many countries into the fray? The answer lies in a web of mutual defense agreements woven across the continent. Nations bound by these agreements found themselves compelled to declare war in a domino effect that saw the conflict escalate beyond European borders, drawing in countries from around the globe. With Poland's invasion, the world's largest war had begun, reshaping the global order forever. What happens when aggressive ambitions collide with national interests? In the tumultuous years leading up to World War II, the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, began their assertive march across the global stage. Germany, under the leadership of Adolf Hitler, swiftly moved to consolidate power in Europe. The fall of France in June 1940 was a chilling demonstration of German military prowess, as the blitzkrieg tactics left Europe stunned. Meanwhile, across the Channel, the Battle of Britain raged in the skies. Despite relentless aerial bombardments by the German Luftwaffe, British resilience under Winston Churchill's leadership held firm, marking the first major setback for the Axis. Simultaneously, the Empire of Japan, driven by ambitions to dominate East Asia, embarked on an expansive campaign. Territories from China to the Pacific Islands felt the heavy impact of Japan's quest for expansion, as they sought to establish a vast empire that stretched across the Pacific. By 1941, the Axis seemed unstoppable, spreading their influence across continents. Every empire has its peak, but what follows can define its legacy. As the war dragged on, the Axis powers reached their zenith, and then crucial battles began to shift the scales. The Battle of Stalingrad, a brutal confrontation from late 1942 to early 1943, became the epitome of Soviet resilience. The city, reduced to rubble, witnessed one of the most harrowing sieges in history. The Red Army's eventual encirclement of the German Sixth Army marked not just a victory but a decisive blow to Nazi ambitions in the East. Simultaneously, halfway across the world, the Battle of Midway unfolded in June 1942. In this pivotal naval clash, American forces, using superior intelligence and strategic foresight, managed to sink 4 Japanese aircraft carriers. This victory severely crippled Japan's naval prowess and shifted the balance in the Pacific. Meanwhile, the shockwaves from the attack on Pearl Harbor in late 1941 had already propelled the United States fully into the fray. American industrial might and manpower began to tip the scales. These pivotal moments began to turn the tide against the Axis powers, signaling a shift in the war's momentum. War is fought not just by soldiers, but by entire societies. As World War II escalated, the home fronts transformed dramatically. In the United States and across Europe, everyday life was commandeered by the war effort. Rationing became a common theme, with governments limiting the use of essential goods like food, fuel, and rubber to ensure adequate supplies for the military. Sugar, meat, and coffee were rationed, and even clothing was subject to government regulation. Women stepped into roles that were previously unthinkable, working in factories and shipyards. Rosie the Riveter wasn't just a symbol. She represented millions of women who took up the mantle in industries critical to war production. Their efforts not only boosted military output but also marked a pivotal shift in the role of women in society. Meanwhile, a darker chapter unfolded as Japanese Americans were forcibly interned, a stark reminder of the war's reach into the lives of innocent civilians. On the home fronts, populations endured sacrifices that were crucial to their nation's war efforts. As the Axis retreated, the Allies advanced, but at what cost? In the grand theater of World War II, the Allies' path to victory was marked by a series of bold and decisive offensives. Among the most iconic was D-Day, June 6, 1944. The Normandy landings, as they were officially known, saw a massive deployment of Allied forces onto the French beaches. This operation set the stage for the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi control. Meanwhile, from the east, the Soviet Red Army was not to be outdone. Their relentless advance was characterized by the massive operation known as Operation Bagration, which decimated the German Army Group Center in the summer of 1944. This pivotal Soviet offensive cleared the path towards Berlin, signaling that the end of the war was imminent. On both fronts, the coordination and sheer force of the Allied efforts were overwhelming. Strategic bombings, ground assaults, and psychological warfare were all in play, dismantling the Axis powers bit by bit. The relentless push by the Allies gradually wore down the Axis powers, paving the way for victory. In the vast expanses of the Pacific, a different kind of war raged on. As the Allies sought to curb the expansion of Imperial Japan, they implemented a bold and arduous strategy known as island hopping. This involved seizing selected islands to establish airfields and naval bases, effectively leapfrogging Japanese positions to edge closer to Japan itself. The strategy turned the Pacific Ocean into a sprawling chessboard of strategic movements and fierce battles. Two of the most iconic confrontations were the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. Iwo Jima, a small volcanic island, became a symbol of the intense warfare and the high cost of the Pacific Campaign. Here, the iconic photograph of Marines raising the American flag on Mount Suribachi captured the gritty resolve of the Allied forces. Okinawa, the largest of the Ryukyu Islands, saw an even bloodier conflict, foreshadowing what might come with a mainland invasion. The island's capture was crucial, providing a staging area for what was anticipated to be the final invasion of Japan. The Pacific theater demanded strategies and sacrifices distinct from those in Europe. With the end of the war in sight, a new and terrifying weapon emerged. As the conflict dragged on into 1945, scientists in the United States had been fervently working on a top-secret project known as the Manhattan Project. This initiative was aimed at harnessing atomic energy to create a bomb of unprecedented power. In the heat of summer, specifically in August 1945, the fruits of their labor were revealed. The United States dropped 2 atomic bombs, one on Hiroshima on August 6th and another on Nagasaki just 3 days later. The devastation was unimaginable. Hiroshima was leveled, with tens of thousands perishing instantly, and many more succumbing to injuries and radiation sickness in the weeks that followed. Nagasaki faced a similar fate, leading to a profound and immediate impact on Japan and the world. On August 15th, just days after the Nagasaki bombing, Japan announced its surrender, effectively bringing World War II to a close. The atomic bombings not only hastened the end of World War II but also ushered in the atomic age, altering warfare forever. The war was over, but its effects were indelible. As the world stepped out from the shadow of World War II, the immediate task was to rebuild and to seek justice. The Nuremberg trials became a hallmark of post-war accountability, where key figures of the Nazi regime were brought before an international tribunal. These trials set a precedent in international law, establishing that individuals, not just states, could be held liable for crimes against humanity. Simultaneously, the global community sought to prevent such atrocities from ever happening again, leading to the creation of the United Nations in 1945. This international body aimed at fostering peace and cooperation marked a significant step towards a new world order. Yet the end of World War II also heralded the beginning of the Cold War, a stark division between the Soviet Union and Western powers, primarily the United States. This ideological split reshaped global politics, influencing international relations for decades. World War II reshaped borders, societies, and global politics, leaving a legacy that still impacts us today. Reflecting on the horrors and heroism of World War II, what lessons do we carry forward? The sheer scale of World War II brought unimaginable devastation, reshaping borders and societies across the globe. It was a stark demonstration of how far the shadows of ideology could stretch, pulling the world into a vortex of destruction and despair. Amidst this darkness, we also witnessed profound acts of courage and humanity that continued to inspire. The human cost of the war was monumental, with millions of lives lost and countless others permanently altered. This grim tally reminds us of the profound consequences of international conflicts and the importance of striving for peace through diplomacy and mutual understanding. As we delve into history, the importance of remembering becomes clear. It serves not just as a tribute to those who suffered and sacrificed, but as a crucial lesson to current and future generations. By keeping the memory alive, we ensure that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. As we remember the past, we must strive to forge a future marked by peace and understanding. In just 10 minutes, we've journeyed through the epic saga of World War II. From the aggressive sparks that ignited the war to the rise and fall of the Axis powers, each moment has been a pivotal stitch in the fabric of history. We witnessed the turning of the tide at key battles where courage met fear head-on, and the home fronts, where civilians played an equally crucial role in shaping the war's outcome. Our exploration took us through the relentless intensity of the Pacific theater and into the dawn of the atomic age, which reshaped the world's political landscape forever. We delved into the aftermath and legacy of the war, reflecting on the profound changes and the indelible marks left on nations and individuals alike. Though our exploration was brief, the stories of World War II remain deep and enduring, challenging us to remember and learn. As we look back on these monumental events, let us carry forward the lessons learned, ensuring that history's most brutal chapters will guide us toward a more peaceful future.